Hello UniPlot community. This video is the second part of the tutorial on how to deal with cyclic data in UniPlot. I will present the two options 2D XY cycle and 2D XY cycle index. Going back to the cycle list, we are now going to focus on the 2D XY cycle option. 2D X and Y cycle. When should you use it? If the cycle length, either in time or crank angle, is constant and X is continuously increasing. You see here we have a constant duration for each cycle and our time channel is continuously increasing. Then UniPlot will take any X-axis, you provide the start time of the first cycle and its duration, and then UniPlot will use this duration to split the signal into different cycles and plot them on top of each other. Then there's another option which corresponds to the second graph where the x-axis value is restarting at every cycle. So UniPlot will detect when the x-axis is dropping to 0 or to a lower value and will restart the cycle. So we are going to plot those to see how UniPlot used this information. Let's open a new document. We take the cycle data to the XY cycle and we're going to plot time and voltage. Click on load and UniPlot asks us for the cycle start of our cycle and then the duration of the cycle. I checked it, it's 17.61 seconds. And then whether we want to plot all graphs or just some of them. Here I just plot 1 to 5. I click on OK and UniPlot create this diagram. Let's check with the waterfall view. We can see that I have all my cycles. So this is one way to plot cycles in UniPlot. Now let's go to the second example. We have the time that is resetted from time to time and this random value. So let's see what UniPlot does with that. And load. Let's take all the cycles. And let's see what it gives. We have our different cycles which have different duration as we saw earlier on the original data. So that we have one part of the cycle, then another one. We have 5 cycles. Let's go back to what has been plotted. And we have all our data that has been split automatically because UniPlot detected the time channel dropping. This is how you use the 2D XY cycle. We now arrive to the 2D XY cycle index diagram. When should you use it? If you have an index channel or if you can create one based on your data. This tool will split your data into cycles. Let's see in UniPlot how it works. To test this new feature, I have modified the second graph. You can see that for each cycle, we have what I call the channel index, which is increased by 1 at each new cycle. Let's use it in a new document. The 2D XY cycle index graph is selected, and I will plot as X what I call cycle time, which is reset at every new cycle, the voltage value, and cycle at the channel index, which is increasing by 1 at each new cycle. I click on load and UniPlot has plotted the diagram. Let's go in the dataset list and we can see that we have one dataset per cycle. In this case, I created the cycle channel based on the step up of the signal. So you can see that compared to the previous diagram option, the 2D XY cycle, it's another way to split your data into cycles based on another channel than just time. This way you can precisely decide how to split your data. It is now time to apply all those techniques to this dataset, which correspond of a process being applied in a plant every day and a measure, which is called value here, that is changing along the day with respect to the process. Let's see what we can do. So if we go to the 2D XY cycle, where we'll plot the time and value, UniPlot will ask us for the coordinate starts. Here, this number corresponds to the 1st of January 2023. You can get it by going to Edit and double-clicking on the time. So I load again. Start of the cycle, cycle length. In this notation, 1 day is equal to a value of 1, and we will ask to plot all the cycles. And we get this diagram. As I said, UniPlot plot all the values on top of each other. Let's update the graph a little bit. I will change the axis. Let's plot it in date and time with just the time, because the date doesn't make sense here. Let's change the orientation, and we can see the duration of the day and the different cycles. This way we can compare value 1 along the day, depending on the process we're using. Then, another way to plot this data. Let's take the 2D XY cycle index with, again, time as X, value 1 as Y, and this way we use the step to split the data. I click on load. Seems a bit strange, but we'll see what we have. Let's select the diagram, go to dataset list, we select all the curves, and let's change that a little bit. We'll remove the curve because they don't make sense here, and we'll put the marker. Okay. Now let's go one step further. We know that we have different steps in those points, so let's change the color for those steps. Let's take this one. Here, by the way, in the legend we have the number of the index, which is step 5 of our process. Let's put some green. Okay, then let's take another one. Let's put some magenta. And blue, and so on. You can change all the colors and see how value 1 is changing in function of your steps. I really hope that one of those use cases will be helpful for your cyclic data in UniPlot. Thanks for watching us. For any question, contact us at support@uniplot.com. Do not hesitate to check our website www.uniplot.com and click on the logo to follow us on LinkedIn and get fresh news of UniPlot.